But also, there's a lot of them encouragement to go back and go back, and I think that frustrates a lot of veterans.
Is the VA secretary bad mouthing veterans submitting increases and other claims like secondary claims? This is the question at hand here, and I'm going to be totally brutally honest with you. It does not look good at all. So what we're going to do is play a clip here from the VA secretary on the Sean Ryan show and really dive into what the VA secretary is saying in this exact moment and break this down.
But at the same point in time, it's going to take a holistic look at everything that we're doing. It can't simply be, how do we fix the third-party helpers here? How do we fix the system itself?
Okay, so first off, who are third-party helpers that he's talking about here? Now, let's just name a few. We're talking about VA disability. You have C&P examiners. You have other entities like claim consulting companies, Veterans Guardian, Veterans Claims Insider, even VetCom. You have all these companies. By the way, VetCom is my option there. They're super cheap, don't charge on increases. But you have another third party of VSO. So those are who are at play. We really have to narrow down who he's talking about. C&P examiners, claim companies, and then VSOs, right? Third party entities outside of the VA when it comes to VA disability. Here we go.
Instead of me having to hire a driver to get me to the grocery store because I don't know how to drive, how about we make it better where I learn how to drive myself? Mm-hmm. And I think that's going to be, and look, but again, there's going to be.
Okay, so obviously he's talking about getting better, okay, getting healthier. Instead of a condition getting worse and just treating that condition like a pill mill that the VA is notoriously has been for the past years and years and years, how can we actually improve conditions? So that's the stage that's set here. We're looking at third-party entities, whoever those may be, and then we're looking at actual healthcare or health improvement for veterans. Now, here we go.
Parties and equities, that's not the way they've done it. That's not the way they do their business model. Because if they have people that come to them, they either, get help from outside agencies or other stuff. I'm finding a whole different world that I'm just getting into the background of how they, how we're working this stuff.
Clearly, the third party has now, it's not C&P examiners, it's not VSOs. He's clearly talking about VA disability claim companies. What's interesting is during these House and Senate hearings, the VA has made no statement on the GUARD or the PLUS Act, and that has been stated multiple times during those hearings. And so when he says that he's just now finding out about this, the VA has not released a statement or their opinion regarding these companies, the GUARD or the PLUS Act. And obviously, there's some miscommunication between veterans submitting increases and getting help with their claim, and then obviously having conditions actually improve, which would decrease your VA rating.
And folks, if you've earned a benefit, take your benefit. You've earned the benefit. But also, there's a lot of them encouragement to go back and go back, and I think that frustrates a lot of veterans. And you've heard this like I have. I want it to be known veterans are not victims.
Okay. That's probably the biggest statement here in this video, this clip. Is the VA secretary not encouraging veterans to submit increases? I think that answer is yes. I genuinely do. I did a live stream on this. I didn't think so then in the moment. Now that I've went back, listened to what's being said, compared that with the VA's lack of a statement at the hearings, these VA claim companies, veterans going back for not just increasing your overall rating. It's mainly increases in secondary claims. I think the VA secretary is encouraging veterans not to increase their VA rating. And then he even says that a lot of veterans are mad about this, or that they're upset that veterans are getting increases. And I don't think that's the case. I don't know who he's talking to. It's definitely not who I'm talking to. The issue is, there's a few things here. One, To be service connected, it requires evidence from service, a current and chronic diagnosis. So you can't scrape your knee. It has to be an actual condition. And then a nexus, which is linking it to service. That happened in 2003 in Iraq. So let's say you got your left knee connected, whatever, something happened in your left knee that's connected. 10 years later, you need a knee replacement on your left knee. That's an increase. That's going to be minimum 30% right there for the knee replacement. There's secondaries. Maybe you've messed up your hip. Now, the knee is just one example. Let's say your mental health was at 50%. And as time goes on, treatment doesn't work. It's failing. Your mental health is getting worse. You're irritable. You're breaking stuff in your home. Maybe you have some domestic violence calls. That rates an increase from 50 to 70%, maybe even 100, depending on how severe we're talking about. So increases are natural. It's also natural for chronic conditions to not just get worse over time, but develop other secondary conditions. For mental health, looking at the neurological system, there's a lot of mental health neuro in gut ties. So IBS and GERD. Maybe even hypertension from some serious anxiety, maybe even migraines as secondary claims. I think I'm going to stake my claim on, I'm pretty sure the VA secretary is advocating for veterans not to have their ratings increased. And on that note, I totally disagree.
We're not. We went into the profession, we've done that, and now we're many of us, and you and others you've talked about, we may have conditions now, we may have stuff that have cost us in that time of service, and that's why the system was set up, is to say, okay, we're going to do something. The history of the VA was really...
So he talks about the system being set up for that purpose. Now he's going to go back to the purpose of the system originally. This is really what drives me to think he's advocating to not increase your rating. Here we go.
Set up for our veterans who are outside of cities and outside of areas where there were not hospitals. The VA was set up because we had so many coming back in from World War I, and then, of course, as it expanded through World War II, that weren't in areas where hospitals were. So that's how this sort of all started. We just sort of lost our roots a little bit, because it's easier just to say, well, it's for the veterans, so let's just throw some money at it and let's throw some more people at it. And but then let's legislate it to death that it can't get outside these boxes, because we want to make sure that we're still in control. That's a big part of government issue that we have, not just the VA, but a lot of agencies.
There you go. I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% certain, it's like 90% for me, which is pretty dang high, that the VA secretary is advocating for veterans not to increase their rating, to really examine themselves, to want to get better. And here lies the issue. What he says not necessarily incorrect. I definitely would not have said it like that. VA disability is a weird relationship. It's like, yes, I got 70% for PTSD. I'm so excited. You're probably going to be 100% P&T looking at holistically your other ratings, but you are excited for 70% for PTSD because it's good. You're going to get money for that. Benefits come with that. At the same time, you're like, man, I might kill myself, right? I might go home and beat my children. I might go home and be so irritable. I'm punching holes through doors. I'm kicking things. I'm breaking things. And so there's this bad that comes with it. So that's one. Two, there's also a relationship with, is there an incentive to get better, meaning improving your mental health and decreasing your VA rating? And the answer is no. The incentive is actually the opposite. We are incentivized to have very poor health, not just poor health, very poor health if we maintain our 100% P&T benefits. 100% P&T benefits, not even federal level, at the state level is worth it on its own. Federal with the pay is obviously great. Chapter 35, DEA is an amazing benefit. You have access to Champ VA for your family. Like, the benefits are absolutely worth it. So I would argue we are incentivized. Veterans are incentivized to have very poor health, given the poor health stemmed from military service. Is the VA secretary advocating for veterans not to increase their VA rating? I think the answer is yes. Is he saying it from a good place in his heart? I think that answer is yes. I still disagree with it. But then you have to think of, well, what do you do about it? How do you improve veteran health and incentivize? Because the VA is not going to come in my house and give me treatment. I have to go to the VA or community care as an option, right? I may not do that if my benefits are at risk. There's a billion factors involved here. I think that's the elephant in the room. And I think that's a very hard problem to tackle. And I genuinely do not believe it's solvable. I want to know your thoughts on that. I just gave you my thoughts. Okay. If you agree with me, that's great. Let me know. If you disagree with me, that's even better. I want to know why you disagree. Let me know down below in the comments.